pretty soon. I don't know what the date
Are you going to go back for it?
No, I got my show here at Cal State Northridge to attend.
Okay, let's hear about that.
Well, the show at Tony Shafrazi, the name of this show is Conceptual Realism in the Service of the Hypothetical. That show is coming here to Cal State Northridge, and it's opening February 20 and running through March 3rd.
And is the public invited to the opening?
I really encourage the public to please come drive out here and see the show.
And how do they get there? It's always hard to find that museum.
Well, the school is off Reseda, and I guess the easiest way is to use a Halstead, the street Halstead. What'd you say? There's a Dairy Queen?
No, it's Baskin and Robbins on the corner. So if you're driving on Reseda and you turn at the Baskin Robbins, you'll go right in there.
Now, I know this sounds funky, but this is This is an extremely beautiful venue.
The gallery itself is absolutely, and you have a new director there who's first rate.
Jim Sweeters, yeah.
How many pieces will be in the show?
There will be at least 26 paintings and a whole lot of other stuff in it.
And are you going to have the two sculptures that you had
here? Yeah, they freighted those back here, yeah.
Did you sell pieces in the New York show?
A lot sold, yeah.
Did you
really? This is the first show I had that was not a sold-out show, but on the other hand, I got the record prices on this show, so it made up for it.
How do you set up a day? Do you work every day? Do you paint
I work every day.
Does that keep you sane?
Well, it's a compulsion.
Yeah.
It's something I have to do it.
I've been to your home a couple of times, and it's very, very, not just formal, but very organized. There is nothing out of place. Is that to...
Signs of a neuroses. You can see neuroses all over the place.
I was trying to avoid saying that, but I can see that.
Yeah.
It's very calm there.
Yeah.
And yet you have a room of helmets, of armor.
Well, no, I collect Imperial German helmets. I started collecting them in the 50s as a kid, and I collect old German helmets from 1842 to 1918. I've been picking them up over the years, over the decades, and I've got a sizable collection.
Now, when did you start collecting cars?
Well, I got my first car when I was 12 years old. I picked up a 34 Ford 5-window coupe when I was 12 years old. And the cars are hot rods. Me and my wife, Suzanne, have a number of hot rods.
Cars from what are the years?
Well, I've got two 32 Fords, a Roadster and a coupe, and my wife, Suzanne, has got a 57 T-Bird and a 34 Ford sedan, and she just picked up a 1913 Model T.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Is she driving it, or do you just keep it to look at?
No, she's working it. It's hers, and she works on it. It's hers.
Tell me about the Laguna show that Meg Litton from
Well, I can't say enough good about Meg. Meg's attractive,
she's the director of the gallery at Otis.
She's the director of the gallery at Otis, but she was the curator at Laguna Beach for the Juxtapose show.
Which was called what? Land of Delights?
Land of Retinal Delights. It was taken off a title of one of my paintings. See? And I think there were 75 or 100 artists in that show. There wasn't a lot of artists in that show. It was a landmark show.
Who are some of your favorite artists?
Well, I don't know. I've got a lot of comic book artists, a lot of illustrators that I'm big on. I've always been fond of Walter Hopps's group at the Ferris Gallery. Ed Ruscha and Billy Al Bankston and those people, Ed Keenholz and whatnot.
But what are the people that a lot of the people that you had on the covers of Juxtapose? Like, I think Rick Griffin, was he on?
Rick Griffin and
Gary Panter.
Gary Panter, yeah.
And who was that girl that woman that you had on? She looked like, when I met her, she looked like a junior league president. She had gone with Mark Kostabi. I can't think of her name.
Helen Gerber.
Yeah. What happened to her?
Well, I don't know. She's a very attractive, intelligent woman. I'm sure she's doing okay.
Who are some of your other favorites?
Well, as a kid, my taste was not all out orthodox. I was big on Disney characters and Salvador Dali and a lot of comic book artists that were in Mad Comics and whatnot.
What about Mike Kelly and Jim Shaw?
Mike Kelly and Jim Shaw, of course, I'm big fans of theirs, and they're good friends of mine.
And you went to a birthday party, a surprise party today for
Billy Shire.
How was that?
Well, it was wild. It was wild.
Has he shown your work?
Well, he started me early.
Oh, tell me about
I
that.
showed with him in mid-'80s, early '80s. He had a gallery on Melrose called La Luz de Jesus. It was an underground outlaw gallery. There was back in that period, there was two primary outlaw galleries. There was 01, which I showed with, and there was Billy Shire's La Luz de Jesus. Billy Shire, of course, was the only one that paid his artists. The other...
What happened to the 01 people?
Well,
What was
John
his
Popen
name?
is in town, and he's still got some 01 downtown, I think.
Remember when they broke the front window and he didn't even bother to have it fixed? He just put up some wood.
Eileen Getty was showing. Her show was coming up, and I think some leftist put some kind of explosive up against the window and blew a big hole in the window. And John had no money, so he just put plywood over the hole.
And he had that elevator operator sitting in there answering questions about the art.
Well, I can't remember that. He had some wild situations in there.
For example.
There was some Irish rebels in there. Two guys and a girl that were in there doing performance art naked and throwing food at the people that came in. And finally, one of them went outside and sit down at the bus stop naked, and the bus pulled up and the door opened and everyone yelled, "Get in! Get in!"
Well, you know, when I had my gallery in the 60s, I showed Rick Harold, and he had a couple making love in the center of the room.
Yeah.
And then David Stewart next door decided to copy me and have another erotic art show, and he went to jail. His show was confiscated.
I remember that. I seem to remember
And nobody
that,
ever
yeah.
did anything to my show.
Well, you just...
I guess I just looked
divine
kind of
providence,
innocent.
Divine providence on your part.
What do you think is next in the art world? The
Well,
things that
I don't know what's next, but there's a couple of things that always have to happen in the art world. Art generally has to be simple, so that it's always entry level for a lot of people. Say, so you've always got a lot of really easy artwork, but. What I'm hoping is that eventually art will quit being one or two isms and open up to just about everything. It should be much wider general interest in art than it is now.
Do you think that's the fault of the dealer? The dealer is always exploring
It's a combination of about 5 things.
Okay, tell me.
It's the teachers, the students, the dealers, the museum administrators, the art critics. They all work in unison and inadvertently cause a situation where there's only 1 or 2 isms, forms of art that's popular at a time. There should be 10 or 20 different kinds of art that are popular at a time.
You were considered an outlaw artist, and now your art is very in. What do you say about that?
Well, I don't know if it's in. I make a good living. I don't know how in it is. There's still people spit at me, so I don't know.
What's your advice to young artists?
Well, a young artist has to understand how dire the situation is. Even in the best of times, it's dire. I never get a young person aside and recommend being an artist. Because I think if they have the will and the intestinal fortitude, they'll be able to do it. And you can't give that to someone. They have to have that already. Once you see a young person is going to do it anyway, then you help them, see. But you don't find innocent people and try to make bohemian artists out of them. That's the wrong thing to do.
Robert, last thing. Tell us again when the show is and when you're going to do the lecture where I actually get to introduce you.
Okay, the show at Cal State Northridge opens February 20. On
what time? 7 to 10?
Yeah, 7 to 10. I think
Okay.
7 to 10. The lecture is March 10th, and the show ends. The whole show ends April 3rd. So I think I said.
And you will be lecturing that night?
I'm going to be lecturing March 10th. I hope you will introduce me.
I'm going to be there.
Formal person to help me out on this.
Won't you let me to wear? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I will be there with
Good deal.
bells on. I am
Good deal.
so proud that you asked me to do that,
Oh,
and I'm such a fan of
Believe me, you're the
yours.
right person.
Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you soon. And
Okay.
thank you. I really love it. But for those of you who love it like Robert and I do, we want to turn you on. You've been listening to Art News on 88.5 KCSN. I'm Molly Barnes, your host here every Sunday night from 7:30 to 8. My guest tonight has been Robert Williams. Thanks for listening.